Breaking news, Brian Crawford, the king of online radio, makes his way to the first federally FCC-regulated and insured station, licensed station in the United States of America, KDKA Radio, and claims an entire hour of broadcast time to talk about, of course, the Millvale Music Festival. That is the headline that you should have seen across papers all across Pittsburgh. But of course, the big names in the media don't give recognition to the big shots in the new emerging media that matters, online radio. That's right. Brian Crawford, king of online radio, makes his way to the old school airwaves and lights up KDKA like has never seen before. It's been quoted as being one of the best interviews on KDKA in quite some time by multiple people, multiple big shots in the community. They've ranted and raved. They are talking about using my interview, Brian Crawford's interview on the John McIntyre show as a promotional piece to promote Millvale to big money investors because it was such a prominent interview. It made such an impact. People are talking about it everywhere. That's right. I have given KDKA a spike in the ratings because it was such a big deal. Brian Crawford, the king of online radio in Pittsburgh. It was a great occasion. It's really changed the airwaves, I think, for a long time. I think I've given a spark of life to the old AM dial, and I'm about to change FM as well. That's right. Friday morning, Brian Crawford, I will bring myself to the WDVE morning show Friday morning in the 6 a.m. hour because they are trying to get people up. They're trying to get people awake, and they know that a big name like Brian Crawford will do just that. But of course, the big show, the show to listen to is this show right here, Monday morning, 10 a.m., River Talk, on Pittsburgh's only truly great local original music radio station, The River's Edge. This is River Talk. I am Brian Crawford. I am the king of online radio here in Pittsburgh, and you have found your way to that show, River Talk. I'm here with Michael Cohen. I'll also be on Pittsburgh Today Live, and that's going to be Thursday morning when that show airs on KDKA. Everybody wants a piece of me. I am, right now, the biggest name in music here in Pittsburgh, at least for this week, and everybody wants a piece of the action. I just was out with a photo shoot for the city paper. I'll be in an article for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. I already was in the Tribune Review. Everybody wants me. Everybody wants a piece of this. Ignored for years, and now everybody is desperate for my attention. And of course, when you're in demand like me, Michael, the value of your sleep continues to evaporate. I've been averaging about 2 to 3 hours of sleep a day.
You don't sound like it at all.
I've been going like that's because I'm full of life. I'm full of energy. I'm full of spunk. And that's why everybody wants me, because they know they can channel my energy. My energy can be channeled through the radio waves. And I will tell you, it was such a great experience to be on KDKA. It was great to be on a historic radio station. It was fun to be on the dial again. It's been many years since I've been on the dial. Of course, I'm on the superior net waves of the internet where the sound is crystal clear when the internet works.
And you can make it out of the
tri-state. I'll bring you in when we're ready. Sorry. Nobody knows who you are yet. That was Jesse Farley. We'll be talking with him in a few minutes. And it was a great experience. It was a lot of fun. I got the entire hour. I was only supposed to be on for one segment on KDKA. And John McIntyre did something rethinking. You know, he's been on this show a few times, so he knows who I am. He's a big fan of the show. He's a big fan of what we do. And he got to thinking, and he thought, you know what, one segment just isn't enough. The people want more. The people demand Brian Crawford, and they want more of him. So he had talked about making it a 2-segment session. But then when I arrived, I went into
6-segment session.
When I went into Green Tree, he gave me the entire hour. The entire hour to talk about the Millvale Music Festival.
How many segments is that?
That's many segments.
How many segments per hour?
It ended up being, I was on for 36 minutes total when you factor in all of the commercials and all of that stuff. It was a great time.
The
podcast
3.6 segments
is available on the River's Edge podcast feed. You can follow us, subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud. All of those good things. We're on all of them, and my interview was there. It was a great interview. We had talked a lot about the music festival. Obviously, we talked about the Relay for Life and my background in event planning. We talked about all sorts of really, really great stuff. We talked about the community at large and Millvale and what kind of a community it is and all sorts of good stuff. It was great. We're going to talk again on Pittsburgh Today Live and, of course, the DV Morning Show and right here Monday morning, 10 a.m. on the River's Edge. It was a great experience, but it's been a stressful time with the sleep deprivation. The other day I'm at work. I'm standing there falling asleep. I was supposed to label all of these trays, completely forgot, so I'm looking through, trying to get the labels assessed, and then I leave work. And this is what really drives me nuts. Everything's going wrong at the same time. Our board fell apart here in the studio. We have the new board working, which sounds great. The audio quality is so much better than the old board. And we're working through all of these issues that all happened at the wrong time. And then I leave work today, and this is what really drives me nuts. And just so you know, we are going to have Jesse Farley on. He's going to be in studio. He's a great artist that's going to be having his art on display at the Sedgwick Street Art Festival at the Millvale Music Festival. We're going to be talking about the music festival all day. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then we have Diamond Gorman, correct? Yes. And she's going to be talking with us a little bit as well later. She has a show coming up at the Carnegie Music Hall of Homestead, and that's going to be the day after the music festival. So we're such forward thinkers here at the River's Edge. We're already looking past the music festival, and we're doing that right here. This is the last show that I will have in this capacity before the festival. But I leave work today, and this is what drives me nuts. I leave work. I'm driving here, to Millvale, and the race is going on, the big Pittsburgh Marathon. So this was Sunday when this happens. And the roads are closed off, so I go an alternative route, and I come to a light. And do you ever have that situation where the light turns green and someone honks at you before you even have the chance to move your foot to the gas pedal?
No.
That's never happened to you? Ever?
No, usually I'm texting and they're well within reasonable time to
I was kind of looking at the phone, but I had one eye on the light. And literally, as soon as it turned, I went to put the phone down to go, and they honk at me. It wasn't even 5 seconds. It wasn't even 3 seconds after the light turned that they honked on me. So, of course, I just then take my hands off the wheel, put my foot on the brake, and I turn around and I look at the person right in the eyes and give them this look like, what? What? Is there a problem?
You're a psychopath.
So then I slowly ease around the bend. I'm going only a few miles an hour because when you piss me off, that's what I do. I slow down. And then usually if you just let me go for a second, I'll speed back up. But no, this person then decides to flash their lights at me and get closer to my vehicle. So what do? I slow down more. And then I stop. Well, this crazy bitch gets out of her car, starts yelling at me.
Yeah, stopping is a dangerous move. Stopping really escalates the situation.
Well, then don't ride my bumper. That's an easy way to get me to not to stop. So she starts yelling at me. I'm calling her every name under the sun, flipping her off, and she's like, don't make me say something to you at work. I don't know if she works with me or just knows where I work, but I'm just like, say whatever the hell you want. There's a police force there.
She probably works with you. It's
I'll get your
coworker you don't recognize.
I'll get your ass hauled out of the building for threats, you bitch.
She's probably honking at you. She's like, oh, it's Brian. She's like,
no, she was
and you
mouthing
look back
to me.
and you're like, what?
No,
right?
She's mouthing at me like she's got an issue.
And she's flashing the lights. Hey, Brian! And you're like, slam on your brakes, get out of the car, and start cursing a blue streak. And then she's like, whoa.
No, she was
To me, that's probably what went down
That's
there.
not what went down at all. She was angry because she wanted me to go immediately, and that just drives me nuts. There's a neighbor who now doesn't like me for the same reason. They honked their horn at me, and I turned around and I'm like, excuse me? Is there a problem? Take a chill pill. It'll be okay. You're going to get where you need to go. Just take a breather. But I have to deal with that. I have to deal with that kind of incompetence while I'm trying to put together an event with 200 bands, 20 plus artists, a dozen street performers, 20 plus hosts, and 6,000 to 8,000 people coming into town. And then I got to deal with some low-life degenerate like that who doesn't have the common sense to wait a few seconds for somebody to respond to a green light. Someone like that should be stripped of their license. Someone like that should be stripped from their vehicle. Someone like that should have to wax my car for making me deal with their incompetence. I have so much going on. I do not have the time or energy to deal with stupid people now.
I should 100% have my license taken away.
Should you?
Absolutely.
Well, now why is that? You're one of those people. Would you honk at me as soon as the light turned green, when I don't even have a chance to respond?
No, because I would just be texting behind you. I would have no idea that the light was green. I'd be vaguely watching your bumper. The person behind me would start honking at you, but no. And then while I drive, I'm still texting, and then I've got a lot.
Texting and driving is not a good thing
I've got a lot of speeding tickets. I got a job recently working with kids, and one of the things they wanted to see was a driving record, and I was like, well, I don't have any actual accidents or like blowing stops. They're all just speeding tickets, and they were like, it's probably gonna be fine. I was like, okay, but it's a lot of speeding tickets.
Yeah, well, you won't have to worry about speeding during the Millvale Music Festival because you won't be able to. There's going to be so many people, so many cars driving around. So really, you shouldn't even drive in. You should be taking Z-Trip. They're going to be offering a discount if you type in the code MMF18. And by doing that, you'll be able to get a discount in. And if you really have to drive, we will have a couple parking locations that you can utilize. But really, most people shouldn't be driving. And if you're that psycho that you would decide to respond like that, and where are you going? Like, if you do work with me, you're just getting off work in the middle of the morning. We're talking like 7 in the morning. Where in the world are you going at 7 in the morning? I guess the bar. She's probably a crazy drunk, and she was on her way to the bar, and she just had the shakes because she just needed to get that buzz, and that's probably why she's honking on the horn. That wouldn't be surprising, especially given where I work.
Definitely not racing to daycare. You are so right.
Definitely not. And if you are racing to daycare, maybe, I don't know, maybe you should be a better mom and plan out a little bit better so that way your kid isn't there. That way you're not completely dependent on someone's immediate reaction to a green light to get to your kid on time. Maybe you should have the forethought of a parent to make sure that your kid isn't stranded. So yeah, I'm criticizing you as a mother. I'm criticizing you as a human being. And I'm criticizing you as a driver.
I'm going to stop antagonizing you. I feel like this bit could have ended a while ago if I didn't keep this
should
up.
Be suspended indefinitely. So we've got the music festival coming up. I'm very excited. You're going to be hosting at Bar 3.
Yeah.
Which will be a good time. You hosted there last year.
Yeah.
You had a lot of fun.
Catch me in the evening. I'm not in the morning, right? I'm just
there's no morning stage at Bar 3. It's a little bit later.
That's what I thought. I didn't take off work in the morning, so I was pretty sure. Okay.
You're excited about that. What were your experiences last year?
Last year was super fun. So I was at the library stage in the morning, and it was my first time hosting at like one of these music festivals that heavily sponsored, and so they were like, yeah, just name all the sponsors between all the bands. And it felt like, I mean, I'm used to doing comedy shows where you're like, yeah, you throw out like a few like drink specials, but like I'm not used to the kind of corporate feel. Isn't the wrong word. It's kind of the wrong word.
It's definitely not corporate, this festival.
It felt very shoehorned with the sponsors. But then I went over to the main stage and I watched Mike Sasson get up there and just smooth as butter dropping these sponsors in between bands, and I saw how to do it, and I went over to stage 3, and
Bar 3, yes.
What'd I say?
You said stage 3.
Yeah,
Bar 3 here in
and I nailed it.
And that's where you're back this year.
So I'm a professional this year.
We are so not anti-corporate. We're so not corporate as a music festival, and the reason why we have so many sponsors is because of that fact. So if you look at our list of sponsors for the music festival, almost all of them are local here to Millvale. They're all local. Most of them are small businesses in Millvale.
Yeah, no, I just meant the like half a dozen like big alcohol kind of companies from last year.
And actually that company is a business here in Millvale. Now they're a master distributor. So basically that's how we got those sponsors, is that one company, Vicini's Distributing, reached out to the brands that he works with, and he is the master distributor for all of the bars for those brands, even including Iron City as well, going all the way up, I believe, as far as Erie, and then all the way down. So he is a small business in of himself, and those are several of the brands he works with more than that he works with. So even that still has a local touch. And Ken has been in the Millville community for a long time, and he supports a lot of different things that we're doing here. If you remember, we had that pod party and we had free alcohol.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't trying to call it corporate. I was just saying I'm not used to having to like go hard in the advertisements.
My
and
point
stuff,
is
just because usually it's like 25 people in a bar somewhere and me being like, "You're next, comic."
Yeah.
You know.
My point being is that
Check your waitresses.
he has. My point is that he has done a lot with the local scene as far as coming to different events. He's done different beer tastings at Panza Gallery. He's done tastings at events that I've put together. So it is a local guy here in Millvale who just happens to be connected to these larger brands, and then he utilizes those resources to help benefit the community. So he wants those brands to be recognized because that's how he makes his money. If nobody's drinking the beer, then he doesn't get that business. So in as much as he's pushing those beer brands, it comes back around to benefit him at the end of the day. So it's gonna be a good time. So stay tuned. We do have the weird news that we're gonna be bringing to you through today's show. We also have the judging segment later on. But I want to stay in on the music festival, which is opening night, which is going to be May 11th, hosted by myself, Brian Crawford, at the Food Truck Park, which is really great. I was down there the other day for the first time, just yesterday, and it was really wonderful. I had this great Argentinian food, which was wonderful. I never had Argentinian food before, and it was the truck that had the least amount of business, and that's really honestly why I went there, because I hate standing in a line. There's nothing more grueling than the slow crawl of inching towards the beginning of a line. So I went there because there was no line, and I got the food, and I was blown away. It was so good. So I'm really excited to frequent that place more often, because I'm usually not big on running around and finding food trucks, because I tend to just go to restaurants and things like that. But the quality of food trucks that they're bringing to this place and the uniqueness of them.
Where was it?
At the Food Truck Park, which is brand new. They opened it up.
I don't know where that is.
It's called the Pittsburgh Food Park, and it's right on the other side of the train trestle at Millvale, going towards Millvale Riverfront Park.
Oh, so it's in Millvale.
It is in Millvale.
Ah, okay.
They're going to be the opening night for the music festival.
Awesome.
They're a brand new business, and it's right along the river. They have cornhole, they have ladder golf, and all of that stuff for you to play games while you're eating food. They have a bar there. That's how they make their money, is people buy the drinks at the bar. But I also was happy to see that it is dog friendly as well, similar to Grist House. And there were many dogs there, because that's one of the best things about Grist House. You go there to get a drink, and if you're like me, you spend less time drinking and more time running around petting a bunch of other people's dogs, because I don't have a dog of my own, and I love petting dogs. So I get to go and just pet dogs. And these people got to think that you're weird because you just go around asking person to person, "Can I pet your dog?" But they love it. The people love it. They love the attention. The dogs love the attention, obviously. And every dog that's there is happy. I've only ever seen one unhappy dog out of all of the times that I've gone to Grist House.
Well, no, see, that's refreshing, because in today's society, like you can't, like, everyone loves kids, but like you can't be like a guy our age and be like real into other people's kids anymore, because it's like a very high-strung society, you know. But dogs, no one's afraid you're gonna molest their dog. You can be like super into someone's dog, and it doesn't have the same kind of tension that if you're like, hey, you want to like go throw a frisbee with like someone's kid, it's like super tense, you know.
Yeah, that does.
Yeah,
it is
dogs
kind of
are
odd.
fair game.
Yeah, dogs are fair
cool.
game, and they are so happy to get that attention. They just crave it. You see these dogs at Grist House, and they're panting, and they're looking around, and the tail is wagging, and they are just waiting for someone to pet them.
And in you come.
I come, and I pet them like all over. I just run. That's all I do, is run all across the brewery petting dogs. And I'm not the only person to do that. It's great. It's a good experience. If you ever are in the area, go and pet some of the dogs. It's like being in a I don't know, like in a pet land on steroids, because there's more dogs there than there is at Petland.
There's a stiff competition going on in Lawrenceville right now. There's 2 cat cafes trying to open.
Oh,
there's one. There's one that is open, and basically, one of them's run by locals. I forget which is embarrassing. I'm not a cat cafe person, but my girlfriend was explaining this to me because she knows the local people trying to open it, and they're trying to open it. And then there's some couple from Brooklyn coming in quote racing to open the first cat cafe in Pittsburgh.
Wow.
So yeah, we gotta.
I don't know many people that take their cats out on the road. That's
Well, no.
weird thing.
The cats live at the cafe.
Oh, they live at the cafe.
You
Oh.
go there. It's
I
for
thought
people
you-
like you, not for people like my girlfriend who have enough
Okay.
cats.
I see. I thought you were taking your cat with you. I know there's a place up north of the city where they are actually creating a giant cat jungle gym.
Because that sounds terrible, because cats mostly don't like each other.
Oh, well, that might be a bad plan then. But they're planning it up north, where they're planning on having tunnels and things where all of these cats can go and play in a jungle gym of cats.
Each cat can just find its weird hiding corner and hiss at other people who walk by.
Well, the music festival is going to be a big jumble of artists and musicians and street performers, and let's hope that they don't start hissing at one another. We have one of them here in studio. It's Jesse Farley, and you have your Facebook page is
Skewed Line Designs.
Skewed Line Designs.
Yeah.
Are there any artists that have you ever hissed at another artist?
No, actually, I never have.
Hissed at any artists? Have you ever considered fighting an artist for a spot, like maybe they took the table space you wanted? And
No, but actually, I was about to at one of my last shows. I was about to team up with the lady who was right behind me to fight the other jewelry person next to her, because she was one of those kind of corporate, like, I'll sell these for $5, but I didn't make them, and we were going to team up and, handmade only.
Oh, yeah. Sure. Well, I saw the weirdest negotiation the other day. It was the most bizarre art negotiation I think I've ever seen, and I told him I would talk about this on the show today. Are you familiar with Mark Panza, who owns Panza Gallery here in Millvale?
No.
No, well, he's a really prominent name in the music scene. He's a framer, and he also is really good at positioning art and placing it for different art galleries, and he is one of the only people in the region who could do certain types of displays. So even
The negotiation, though, with the story.
No, don't rush me.
All right.
So, no, seriously, that I got to get this out. So, he's one of the only people to do this kind of thing, and he will be brought in by big museums like the Westmoreland Museum in Westmoreland County, and even the Carnegie Museums. They'll bring him in to place certain types of art, and it's really really cool thing. So he's a big name in the art community. But I was down there for a show the other day. He had a show in his gallery, which is on Sedgwick Street, where you'll be at for the music festival. And we're down there, and he's got this piece of art that's framed sitting on the bar counter. And this girl comes up to him, and she says, I want to buy that piece of art. And he said, really? This piece? Which was the first step in a bad negotiation. And she said, yeah, that piece. And he goes, okay, I'll give you $30 for it. And she looks at him with a weird face, a puzzled face, and she says, $30? Let me give you 40 for it. And he said, no, $30, just $30. I'm happy that you like it. I'm glad that you want this piece of art framed. And she tells him, well, can you sign it? And he says, I have it signed here on the back. He turns it over and he shows where the signature is. And she says, no, I want you to sign it for my friend with a personal note. And he says, well, if I sign it there, you can see, he shows up behind the light, that it's going to fade through and you're going to see it's going to mess the quality up of the art. And I chimed in. I said, well, if he signs it, he'll sell it to you for $20. So I tried to continue the negotiation, but it was a backwards negotiation.
You're just dropping the price.
She's trying to pay him more than he's trying to offer. Have you ever had a situation like that where somebody's tried to give you more money than what the art is worth?
But that'd be an interesting tactic, though. Like, you come in and say 20, she's like, no, all right, I'll give you 50, and then you just keep going until she comes to this really outrageously high price. It's like, yeah, all right, I'll take that.
Yeah. But it was funny, and she ended up going for the $30, but she really was a fan of this particular piece of art, and
that's awesome.
It was really cool. So tell me a little bit about your art. What do you do?
So I pretty much do kind of geometric, like mandala kind of art.
What does that mean?
Well, I have a couple pieces. I don't know if you'd want to see them or.
We're gonna, we will want to see them. But if you can describe kind of what your style is.
So it's basically kind of like starting at a center point and using just geometry, starting with like an XY axis and then kind of building out from a center point. It could be circles, different curved lines, triangles, whatever, and then it comes together. And I'll sit and stare at it, for days on end, just trying to figure out where am I going to go next with it. And then I just go until I feel like it's completed, pretty much. I used colored pens, Sharpie markers, anything to bring the color out. And I generally freehand everything. I'll use like a ruler sometimes for straight lines or like a compass to outline circles, but that's always in lead and pencil. So then I have to go over it with the pen and kind of add some layers to it. So, yeah, I don't know.
So have you been to a festival similar to this before, where it's a mixture of music and art?
No, not. I've only just been doing this a few years and very, very sporadically.
Where all have you been to a show, like any kind of an art show, like where you put anything on display?
Well, I've done a bunch of different craft shows, like
Okay.
holiday craft shows, like church basements, certain areas. But this year, kind of, I was trying to do like more springtime, summertime stuff instead of
Yeah.
just like the Christmas come out for the, get ready for Christmas sales.
Sure.
So I'm going to be doing Millvale Music Festival this coming weekend.
Oh.
Then I'll be doing the Lawrenceville Art Crawl.
Oh, nice. I saw that. That looks great.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. That's like it's always fun to go to those.
And
So
I'm glad that they have that too, because with Art All Night moving out of Lawrenceville, I feel like that was such a staple there, and I
Right.
was kind of a little disappointed for the community because they've had this art culture there for over 20 years, and it just moved out. So I'm glad to see that this art
Well, it
crawl,
didn't move out. I mean,
the Art All Night moved
the
out.
fucking yuppies demolished the building.
My point is that 20-year run festival is out of there, so I'm glad to see that there's this art crawl moving in to kind of fill in
Yes.
some of that gap.
Yes, the crawl's great.
Yeah.
I hope that Art All Night, because they moved to the south side, and that actually the place that they had was pretty. I mean, it's nice. It's just
Yeah.
kind of off the beaten path a little bit, but it was really nice. I hope they can continue there because that's an awesome event too.
Yeah, it was. So were you there? Did you put up a display at that event?
I did, yeah. I put
That's
up
going to
one
be
of
a
my
great
pieces.
opportunity.
Yeah. Oh, I've done that for the past couple of years. Ever since I started trying to like get prints made and sell some stuff and see if anybody likes what I'm doing, pretty much. I put.
What were
piece
some
up
of the
this year.
responses that people gave to you while they were there?
I think like last year I got a couple people who were interested in buying and gave me their email addresses and things like that. So this year wasn't. I feel like there wasn't as many people this year. I think
Oh,
it's because
really?
it moved.
The change of location.
Yeah.
I also know like certain people like me, like I'll be honest, I thought it was still in Lawrenceville. I invited my friend over because I didn't even look because it's just been in Lawrenceville for 2 decades. So she gets here and I was like, let's just walk over. So we go to a bar here in Millvale. We were going to get a drink before we headed over. And then my friend tells me it's in Southside, and I'm just like, oh gosh, Southside on a Saturday. So I ended up not going because of that. So I'm sure there were other people from this side of town who were just used to walking there, and they ended up not going because of that. But I do want to go next year, but a little bit of better planning on my part would probably make that happen. What are some of the opportunities that you see at a music festival and being able to put your art on display at a music festival?
I feel like the type of art that I draw is actually way more suited for like a music festival.
In what way?
I don't really know, actually. I mean, so like the craft shows that I've done, right, the holiday ones, it's a lot of like the handmade jewelry and, like LuLaRoe type stuff. There's not really a lot of opportunities for like, art, like wall art and things like that. There's always a couple people, but we just kind of stand out, and I don't know, it's not the right crowd, I guess.
Okay. So why do you think the music festival crowd would be more of a right crowd?
You would have to see the art to
Let's see it.
understand. Okay, all right. So I'll show you. I'll start with the one that I put up actually at Art All Night.
Oh wow, that's beautiful.
So this is kind of
Show it
a.
to that camera up there.
Yeah, there you
so
go.
it's a would you say a green and
Green and turquoise. Maybe.
that's what I was thinking, a turquoise color, but it's a circle and a square. Describe it for me, because there's a lot of people who are listening on the radio that can't see this piece.
Gotcha. So it's basically it's a piece. It's like I described as a mandala. The turquoise part is kind of in the background. Originally, so this is a print, but it was done on a canvas. So it's a blue painted background on canvas. Then I have these gel pens that will write on any color, any dark surface. And I did a very lime green, kind of very abstract, but still like geometric pattern where everything's equal parts, on 4 different sides. And then kind of in the background is this turquoise mandala circle, just kind of building and expanding out, kind of like a tapestry in a way. I could describe it like that too, but it's a lot of different lines and dots, and that's pretty much how I make my art. So
Wow.
yeah, I start at this center point right here, and then just kind of work
You
my
use
way.
a lot of mostly abstract shapes and things like that in your artwork?
I try to do a lot of different things with it, but mostly it's just geometric patterns, just in a different weird way, I guess.
Is that the original size, or is that shrunk
Yes.
down?
Nope, this is the original size.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. And there's so many. You can tell there's so much work in there. There's so many small like components. Like if you're really looking at it close up, for those of you who are listening, if you look like close to the center, you can see just so many small details at every little layer of the piece.
Could I show you one more just
Yeah,
real quick?
I would love to see another one.
So, speaking of looking to the center, this is another
Oh, wow.
really perfect example. Let me take this off. These are my display ones. But if you look at the center of this one, this was all done in just dots. That's all it is.
Wow.
It's all dots.
With all adults, let me see. Keep explaining it because I'm going to look closer.
So it's kind of it's done in red, orange, yellow, and purple. And it starts in a center with probably 6-inch diameter circle, mandala style, all a bunch of dots creating these different geometric patterns. And then on the outside of that circle are spirals. I don't know, but they're different lines of spirals, all still done in dots that kind of make this warping tunnel kind of pattern to it, I guess.
Wow.
This I did one in the fall. I was trying to do fall colors, and yeah, so it kind of was my inspiration, just trying to use those colors.
I love the colors in it. It's very vibrant. And it's interesting because this piece, I was just at this show at Panza Gallery, as I had mentioned, and it was Rick Claravel, I believe is how you say his name, and he had these sculptures. It's really cool because the sculptures actually are hanging coming out of the wall, but then he has painting, or he has artwork as well that corresponds with it. And on the artwork, it's so different than yours, where like yours, the closer you get to it, the more detail you see, whereas his was almost the opposite. Whenever you stand back, you see more detail. When you come up close, you almost miss a lot of the piece. It's interesting how each different piece of artwork can have a different effect on you depending on the design.
Right. I've always wanted to try to do something like this, like much larger. I actually have a painting. It's maybe 3 feet by 3 feet square, and it's done in like this yellow. It's very southwestern looking, and I probably should have brought it because I never showed it to anybody yet. But I'm trying to get like larger, like super detailed like this, but it's just so time consuming.
Wow.
So I don't know if I'm ready for that yet. But
Have you ever thought about doing something like this on a giant wall?
oh, absolutely.
Because I feel like this would be like, especially this piece, because if you're looking at it, if you're not looking at it because you're listening on the radio, it's got a circle, and then like there's multiple layers of circles, and then there's a spiral behind it. It almost looks like the circle is traveling at a distance, like traveling towards you.
Yeah.
In a way. And there's almost like a cyclone behind it. And I feel like if this was on a big wall, you could almost lose yourself in this tunnel of color.
Right. Yeah, that's part of the reason why I've been trying to expand out to like larger canvas pieces, just trying to hone like I'm so used to doing it with pens and very, very fine detail, and to do it in a large like mural pattern would be fantastic.
Where do you
I just gotta
live,
figure it
if
out.
you don't mind me asking? What neighborhood?
Crafton.
Crafton. Have you ever reached out to the local like business community or anything like that?
I haven't actually.
That I think could be like a really interesting opportunity. I feel like you could really maybe make something happen that way, because especially these smaller towns like Crafton, a lot of times they're more open-minded to exploring the arts and experimenting with different ideas.
Yeah, I'll have to keep that in mind. I want to hone it just a little bit more on the larger scale, but yeah, it's definitely something I would love to do.
Very cool. I'm very excited. It's going to be I'm excited to see more of your work, and I'll be able to do that on the Sedgwick Street stage at the Millvale Music Festival, which is May 12th. Sedgwick Street is actually right outside of Panza Gallery. Panza Gallery is on Sedgwick Street, so that's kind of why we put it there. So all of the art will then lead into the gallery, where we'll have shows later that evening. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited.
That's awesome.
It's going to be very, very cool. So where can people find you if they want to learn more?
So I am on Facebook. You can look me up at Skewed Line Designs. I also have an Etsy store.
What's that?
Etsy.com.
I mean, what is Etsy?
Oh, Etsy. It's like a craft marketplace. It's a website where I have all of my available prints listed. Well, not all of them, but I have a vast majority of my prints listed on there that you can purchase right from there. And it's etsy.com/shop/Skewed Line Designs.
Skewed Line Designs, and you're also on Facebook as well.
Yes.
And you can find you there, Skewed Line Designs there as well.
Yep.
So thank you so much. You're going to be there all day, right, at the
Yes.
festival, the entire time that the street is open. I believe that stage starts at 11 a.m., so you guys will be set up at that point. There's going to be alcohol there. There's also going to be wine. That's I believe, one of the only two stages. That one and the Panza Gallery stage are the only two stages that will have wine available at the festival. And then, of course, we'll also have the great craft brews there from Vicini's Distributing as well. So that's Jesse Farley. He will be at the Cedric Street stage right here in Millvale on Cedric Street for the Millvale Music Festival, which is May 12th. It's all day. Between that and the Friday night, 200 bands, over 150 bands for Millvale's 150th birthday, as well as many wonderful artists. That's a new aspect to the festival, and some great street performers as well, and great hosts like myself and like Michael, who will be hosting at Bar 3. Thank you so much, Jesse. Let's roll right into the weird news. We've got not one, not two, but three weird stories to keep the Bond Monster at bay. Let's cue that music. So there's a new drug trafficking problem here in the United States of America, and there's a new culprit that the drug enforcement agencies are going to have to look into and work on reprehending if they want to stop the heroin crisis. And this is not your usual drug dealer. It's not the mean-looking drug dealer that they show on TV.
Don't be Jews. Please don't be Jews.
No.
Please don't be Jews.
They're not Jews.
Oh, thank God.
They are adorable drug dealers, though.
That's the last thing we need.
These drug dealers are puppies. That's right. A vet has implanted heroin in puppies for a Colombia drug ring. And this is coming from MSN.com.
Can't trust those vets.
Says a veterinarian accused of implanting liquid heroin in puppies for a Colombian drug trafficking ring has pleaded not guilty to U.S. charges. Andres Lopez Elorza made a court appearance on Tuesday in New York City. He was arrested in Spain in 2015 and extradited to the U.S. on Monday. U.S. authorities say Lopez stitched packets of heroin in the bellies of Labrador retrievers and other breeds sent on commercial flights to New York City. They say that the packets were then cut out of the puppies, who died in the process. That's really sad that the puppies died. That's the saddest part about the whole thing, is these poor puppies died. They had nothing to do with this. They're innocent victims.
I mean, maybe if we provided better employment opportunities for puppies, they wouldn't feel pressured to take this kind of work.
Yeah, maybe. That's the problem. It's the job market that's the problem, damn it. So that's weird. That's weird news story one. Let's roll along. So we got a lot to cover here. What do you have?
Do you have a bomb shelter in your house, Brian?
I could.
But do you?
No, but I've thought about it.
Because I read
Especially
an article today
nowadays.
that in Singapore, every apartment or housing unit built since 1997, housing code says it has to have a bomb shelter in it.
Oh, okay.
And it's interesting, right? Because I'm reading these interviews, and a lot of the folks, apparently everyone just uses them for storage, because Singapore isn't bombed regularly. And, the interviewers, I'm like, would you use this bomb shelter? And they're like, no, I'd probably go to the ground floor. Because all these people live on, like, the 15th floor.
Wow.
And I'm like, what is a bomb shelter on the 13th or 15th? Like, what does that mean? Like, of course you'd head for the
Is it for
ground.
like fallout? Is that the
And
thought
then
process?
no, and it's for like normal bombing, like World
Wow.
War II, level Dresden style bombing, and it turns out, and I mean, only one of the people knew this, and he wasn't entirely sure, but he was pretty sure, with scare quotes, that they're actually built into the building in a stack, in a reinforced stack, where if your building is bombed, this tiny little tower of bomb shelters will survive, and the
Wow.
authorities will come get you.
So they're stacked one on top of
Yes.
another, so that's how they're able to survive it.
Right.
That's crazy.
It's wild.
That's interesting. I every once in a while I like to listen to the BBC for my news in the evening.
They're great.
And and it's great because there are so many interesting stories where in today's day and age, 2018, they still find bombs that were left that haven't exploded from World War II all of the time. And you always hear about it in the UK, in London, where these bombs are discovered. But apparently it happens in Germany, too, where they just will stumble upon a bomb that's just been sitting on top of a building for all of this time since World War II, and it hasn't exploded. It like blows my mind.
It's wild.
Yeah, can you imagine like how frightening that would be to learn that there was a bomb above your house or above your building for all of this time, and it just has been sitting there. I imagine they probably discover a lot of this stuff during construction when they're redesigning a city and things like that, and they're probably tearing down old buildings to rebuild new ones and things like that. But yeah, terrifying. Third story here. This story is kind of
I
interesting.
saw this one. I thought about doing this one, and I was like, it's beneath me. I'm glad you picked it up.
It's not beneath me. This is right up my alley. So, basically, there's a new sport that it has come out at one particular school, and anybody who's had severe constipation can attest that it is a feat when you can relieve yourself. And one man decided that he wanted to share his success with the entire school. A school superintendent in Homestead, New Jersey, is facing.
New Jersey.
I love this article. It's from the Huffington Post. It says he's facing some pretty crappy criminal charges after being accused of public defecation. It's a superintendent who, his name is Thomas Tramaglini, and he is the superintendent of Kenilworth School District. He was arrested Tuesday morning and charged with lewdness, littering, I love that one, littering, and defecating in public, according to Patch, New Jersey. The school staff and athletic coaches had alerted a school resource officer that they were finding human feces at or near the track and football field on a daily basis.
Wow. I didn't get that far in the article.
Yeah. So that's really pretty fascinating.
Daily is a commitment.
That is a commitment. Maybe he wanted to see, I don't know, things grow along the ball field. You know, because they say feces is a great fertilizer.
Yeah,
Maybe he was just trying to beautify the park. Maybe he was looking at the best interest of the aesthetics of the facilities. It's possible.
Could be.
Just trying to look at people in the most positive light.
I got nothing for this one.
Nothing for this one. All right, let's roll into the judgment. Tell me what you have.
The judgment.
I'm gonna go grab the gavel here.
All right, go grab the gavel.
What do we have?
We got. Do you want them all four at once, or?
Let's do one at a
All right,
time.
all right.
One at a time.
The first one is stalkerware.
Stalkerware.
Stalkerware. It's all those different programs you can use to like break into your loved one's email, or governments use them too, obviously. But they're available for sale, right? There's no like particular type of license you need to have to use them because it's from private distributors. Who,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, if you're going to sell it to some tyrannical government, of course you'll sell it to some jealous lover as well, right?
Sure.
So I guess the question is, I think.
Well, can you explain what the stalkerware is? What is it?
Right. So I mean, a lot of it is like, you put it on someone's phone and then you can like read their emails remotely, or you can see where they're going. It can also let you like get into someone's Facebook. Well, that's why it's called stalkerware. You know? And so it's basically just a series of privacy violating apps and programs. And I guess the question is, I think, especially in our country, science has a very kind of sociopath approach to it, where people are not responsible for the things that they birth into the world. And I guess my question is do you think that the people who make this stuff should be held accountable for what's done with it?
Guilty. Yes, I do think they should be responsible, because these people they're using their knowledge for evil. They are creating like a horrible situation. I mean, stalking is a serious problem, especially in today's age, and to make it easier for people. Can you imagine like if somebody could just find out where you were at all times? That's terrifying.
Yeah, well, and I mean, a lot of it is modified versions of what's produced for the governments to do exactly that as well. You know,
I'm going to charge them guilty, and I'm going to charge them a day in jail for every time somebody gets found guilty of stalking using their technology. I think that's a fair judgment.
Sure. I mean, absolutely. If only it was easy to find people guilty of stalking.
Yeah.
All right. Next is Airbnb. Especially in cities like New York and San Francisco, but increasingly in Pittsburgh, neighborhoods are getting gentrified, but not with actual residents, right? You see housing crises, and it's actually a lot of it is people buying up places that not even for them to live in, but just to convert to Airbnb, right? And so even in neighborhoods where people are getting kicked out for folks to move in, like East Liberty, for example, right? You've got this even increased epidemic where people are actually not even moving in; they're just getting these things for Airbnb, and it drives the rent up, because you can make so much more off of an Airbnb by just renting it out, right? Like on a nightly basis than having people come in. Do you think that the people who are setting up these Airbnbs in these neighborhoods, I mean, are they guilty of damaging their own are they guilty of damaging these communities, or are they just like playing capitalism basically?
Not guilty.
Really?
I think that these people, it's your property, and it's not your it's not your responsibility. I think it's the community at large responsibility to kind of define what they want their community to be. Like, we have the Millvale Community Development Corporation here, and I respect that they try to make this place as accessible for everybody who lives here. And I think that's kind of their role. But as an individual, that's your property if you want to.
Well, okay,
as long as
so
it's zoned correctly and you follow the laws.
So we're not responsible for like the effect that the stuff we do has on our community, because I guess like to me, like I would put that on a level with like heroin dealers or something, right? Where like the thing you're doing is objectively damaging to the neighborhood that you're in, but you're like, I got to make a rent or whatever.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know how damaging an Airbnb is. It's a smaller place. It's one thing when you doze down buildings to build these giant apartment complexes that are so out of the ordinary. And
well, the thing is, it becomes an epidemic. So like in a place like San Francisco or New York, and again, Pittsburgh is not like those yet, but we're seeing it happen really quickly, I guess. So like in an area that's already having a housing crisis, like you're definitely exacerbating it.
I think, I mean, I think that's the local government's responsibility to try to zone things better and make sure that doesn't happen. But you as an individual, if it's your property and you're following the laws, I don't think that's your fault. I think that's the government's fault for not being on top of it and making sure that kind of thing doesn't happen. So I would charge the local government as guilty, not so much the individual.
Agree to disagree. Kratom. Do you know what kratom is?
I don't.
Kratom is a plant. It is also presently used as a drug. It is largely unregulated on the market right now. You can get it on the internet. You can get it at Kava Bar. The two things it's used for is managing pain, and then the thing it's become popular for is a lot of ex-heroin addicts, or I don't know if you're ever an ex-addict, but heroin addicts will use it to manage not being on heroin, basically. The issue is that it is addictive in and of itself. And so the FDA is looking at banning it, or at least putting it under some heavily scheduled, heavily regulated.
Who makes it?
So that's the thing, is no one makes it.
That's why it's being banned, but all of the opioids that they dish out on a daily basis at the hospital, those are okay.
Right.
So am I judging the government or the creators?
Well, there is no creators, so essentially we're judging the government, which is, are they doing more harm than good by trying to tightly regulate this?
I'm going to say that the government is guilty because they don't hold doctors and healthcare insurers to the same standard. If they're going to regulate everything, that's one thing, but they let these doctors just completely go off. And even Tom Wolf, for example, our governor here in Pennsylvania, he's doing a lot to try to fight the opioid epidemic, but guess what the one group is that he's ignoring? The doctors, of course. Let them run wild, but everybody else has got to be, you've got to put the iron thumb on everybody else. So, yeah, I think this is ridiculous, especially if it can help people at some level. Maybe what the government should do is research it and maybe understand it better, so that way it's not dangerous for people. And maybe it shouldn't be used, but just banning it, especially when you let these doctors run wild, I think is crazy. The hypocrisy is staggering. So that's where I come down. Guilty, and I would say
guilty as fuck. All right.
The government should have to, I don't know, just go fuck itself. That's what I'm gonna rule.
Solid. All right. From on high management here, we'll flip the script. Have you seen the new Avengers movie?
I haven't.
Have you seen any of the Avengers movie?
I have.
I'm muting you for this, Michael. Be careful.
Huh?
I'm muting you if this goes wrong. Be careful.
Have you seen the new Avengers movie?
No.
Okay, so no spoilers.
knows? All right.
I
Or
haven't
does
seen
this
it
all,
either,
is this
though, by
all
the way.
about
Okay, so I won't tell you how it ends, but the goal of the villain, Thanos, in the new Avengers movie, this is not a spoiler, it's the premise of the whole movie, is he is trying to amass these various gems that have special powers, and when he gets them all, basically he'll essentially be a god. And his project, he views as a humanitarian one, where he wants to painlessly and randomly eliminate half the essentially human-esque creatures in the universe, because he believes that overpopulation is a massive problem, and because he comes from this society that overpopulated and overused its resources, and now it's a desolate shithole wasteland. And so his project he views as a humanitarian one. He has figured out this essentially painless way and an unbiased way to eliminate half the population.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what am I judging? Am I...
I mean, I guess being a humanitarian and a psychopath are not mutually exclusive, but do you think he's in the wrong, or you think he's onto something?
I think he's in the wrong. I think what we need to do, instead of looking at killing half the population, I think we really need to look into, first off, taking better care of our environment here on Earth. But then I also think we need to really look into space colonies. We need to become Gundam, where you have these, these space colonies all across the
I'm going to cut you
solar
off a little
system.
bit. In the Avengers universe, we have already gone space colonies and all that. So the lack of space colonies is not a problem in this universe. The problem is still overpopulation.
I think if you can create space colonies, especially like the space stations where they're not on planets, I feel like we could overcome the overpopulation problem. I'm going to come down with guilty. I think he's wrong. I think we need to go to space colonies, and maybe, who knows, maybe eventually we'll have a war like they do in Gundam, where we have mobile suits going after each other, and that would be pretty badass.
You love Gundam. All right,
Gundam
that's
is a
all I
great
got for
show.
you.
All right, cool. That is the judging segment. Every week I come down with new judgments. Last week when you weren't here, we actually asked the audience for judgments, and we had some really interesting judgments there. So we might do that once a month, just see what the audience wants me to judge. Right now, though, we have Diamond here in studio. Diamond Gorman, and you are an R&B singer.
Yes, I am.
And you have a show on the 13th at the Carnegie Music Hall.
Yes, I do.
That's a fantastic
awesome.
venue.
That's a
Yeah.
great venue.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Who are you performing with? Hold the mic kind of in the towards the top. There we go. That cable's a little wonky.
I'm opening. I'm the only opening act.
Wow,
I
that's
have
great.
a 30-minute set
Nice.
for Life Jennings. So it's for his Mother's Day concert.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I actually just submitted a song, and they're like, well, out of all of the people that we had that we were thinking about letting open, trump them out. We want you to open.
Wow. Congratulations.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's like a contest style thing, or?
It wasn't a contest style. It was just he's coming. You know, of course, with people coming, they're looking for opening acts.
Yeah.
You know, so and I had seen it. I told my manager, like, you think you can maybe see? I was like, I emailed them my song, and he was like, yeah. And then I checked my email, and they're like, you're amazing, like, you know.
Wow, that's great.
You got a manager, but you're the one emailing the song?
Looking, I'm new to this manager thing.
Hey, you know what?
I'm a bossy bee, so I'm new to this manager thing.
Fair,
so,
fair.
So I have to.
The thing is whenever you are an artist, you really have to take, I feel, control of your own life, even if you do have a manager, because no one's going to look out for your best interests better than you.
Right.
So you're performing. Have you ever performed there before?
Not at the Carnegie Music Hall. No, I've never performed on that stage. No.
Wow, that's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, I've performed on pretty big stages.
What's the biggest stage you've been on?
The biggest stage would be Soldiers and Sailors.
Oh wow,
I
that's such a
performed-
beautiful place too.
Yeah, I performed there a couple times, and then I performed at which was probably the biggest audience, but it was a maid stage at the Monroeville Convention Center. I opened for, I forget what band it was, but I opened for them, and they made that stage,
Wow.
but it was huge.
That's awesome. Well, Soldiers and Sailors, I don't know if you know this, that is the largest war memorial in the United States.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's really a cool space. So that's really exciting. So tell me a little bit about your background and who you are as an artist. We actually have a few minutes here to talk with you. I'm really excited. Whenever we booked you, I was afraid we would be in and out, and this is great. We have really an opportunity to kind of dive in. So how long have you been performing?
Performing, I've probably been performing all my life. Since I was little, I went to Rogers, the creative performing arts middle school. I went to Kappa for college I was a vocal major. And then I went to Chatham University and I minored in music. So performing, I just been performing all my life. I grew up in the church, always on stage, singing. But taking my music, actually writing my own music and performing it live myself, I would say about 4 years.
Awesome.
Wow. We do have a song of yours we're going to play at the end of today's show, so
Okay.
I'm excited about that. But so you are a mother. You have three kids as well.
Wow.
Yes. How'd you know that?
Because I have information that was given to me.
He saw how you reacted to the child care thing. He was like, "You're a mother, huh?"
Yes,
No, you're great. This lady, though, she's yelling at me. She's in the car,
getting
slamming on the
daycare.
horn. Yeah.
Yes, I am a mom. I have 3 beautiful children, 7, 5, and 2. 2 girls, boy, girl. So yeah, other than my singing career, and I'm also a daycare director. I'm a director
Oh,
at
wow.
a daycare. So other than that, yes, I am a mom.
So when do you sleep? I thought I was busy.
Never. But I will fall asleep in a minute on my kids on it. But
It's interesting when you're so busy like that, you learn to sleep on command, don't you?
Yes. When it's time to take a nap, everyone take a nap.
Yeah, and you can kind of trigger your mind to sleep. That's one of the weirdest things you learn when you become so busy is you've got 15 minutes. I can make that work. I can get
Yes.
15 minutes of sleep in a 15-minute break. It's crazy.
Really, you need that sleep too. And with me, I would say right now would be like the height of my career. You know, I've been super duper busy performing and doing different things, and I'm like, woo! I get home like yesterday. I sang the national anthem at a baseball game in the morning.
Really? What
Nice.
baseball game was
It was
that?
the RBI Little League.
Oh,
it's a
that's
little
cool.
league. They
That's great that they have like an actual performer come in.
Yeah.
I remember going to hockey games, college hockey, and they'd play the national anthem through a phone on the loudspeaker. That's much better.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a big game next week. It's like an alumni game, and it's Penn Hills versus Wilkinsburg High School. And I'm singing the national anthem there, so I'm super excited about that.
Oh, that's cool.
Super, super excited about that. But yeah, so yesterday I was like, I had about 2 hours. I didn't have any kids with me, anybody. I'm like, I'm gonna go take a nap. So I went and just dove into my bed and took a nap.
Wow. So, do your kids go with you to shows? What do they think about it?
They've seen a few. Every now and then there's a couple of things. My youngest ones, my 5-year-old and my 2-year-old, they're off the deep end. But my 7-year-old, she loves it. She's a big critic too. Like she's like, I don't like that sparkle shirt, Mom, or or maybe you could have been a little bit louder. She's like my.
That's
biggest
great.
little-
That's
but
good.
That's because I guess she's been with me the whole run.
Is
So
she interested in music herself?
she is, but
Oh, really?
we haven't found her talent yet with singing. I want her to be a singer, but it's just not there.
Oh,
Oh, that's
there.
brutal.
It's not there. But she is in the musical at school because her mom makes. I'm that mom that's like, listen, you're gonna sing this, you're gonna sing it like this. So we're gonna get you in the musical, but yeah.
is she interested in any instruments?
No, she loves to dance. She does gymnastics, so she's really good at gymnastics. That's her thing, her forte, dancing and gymnastics.
That's
Nice.
great. I need to get in better shape myself. I've been walking back and forth, and I'm getting to my house, and I'm holding the chest. Oh my god! After a winter of just doing nothing,
Have 3 kids. You'll be
running.
You'll
Yeah.
be running everywhere.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. Now,
Bath time's overwhelming.
now, how old is your oldest? Did you say?
7.
Okay, so not even old enough to drive. I can't even imagine, because that's one thing. When I was 16 years old, my parents bought an extra vehicle, and it actually worked out great. They bought an extra vehicle so that way I could get my sister to places she needed to be, as well as myself, because there just wasn't enough time in the day for them to get us everywhere, with her doing soccer and me doing band. But they got this Jeep Wrangler, And
That
this
was
is
my first car when I was.
was it?
16,
Isn't
a
it
Jeep
wonderful?
Wrangler, yes.
I loved the
I
Wrangler.
destroyed that car.
Did you? Mine was a beast. It was great, but the only problem was the top. I ended up replacing the top, but the top was great once I did because I got an aftermarket one.
Yeah.
You could just flip like it halfway back, and you got just as much air as if you took the whole thing down.
Yep.
So you could do
I
it in
loved
seconds
that.
instead of 20 minutes. But I had this Jeep Wrangler, and this was before they fixed the suspension issue. So the whole time you're up and down like a bouncing ball driving down the road. And some people, if you were tall, your head would bounce off the top of the canvas roof. And everybody in my family hated that car, except for me. I loved it. So it ended up becoming my car because nobody else would drive it. The idea was my mom was going to drive it into Pittsburgh during the winter because of the four-wheel drive, but she refused to drive it. So I got a car out of the deal. And then they had to buy my sister a car at that point because how could they buy me one and not her?
Yep.
You know how that works
Is
with
that
kids.
how that works?
Yeah.
See, me though, I'm the only child.
Okay.
So this whole 3 kids sharing,
Oh, it can
it's
be
different.
brutal.
I always look at them like, what is going? I would just be in a corner somewhere by myself, and then
Yeah.
I have these 3, and they're like fighting over.
Oh, they'll get mad if you give one to one and not the other. Like if I had
Yeah.
gotten the car and then my sister didn't get a car, there would have been hell to pay in that house.
Yeah, I'm experiencing that with them. Which I'm like, I guess I didn't have to deal with that growing up. I just
Yeah.
was, everything was for me.
Yeah. So tell me about your style.
So my singing style would more so be, of course, R&B. I definitely write based off of like situations in my life. You know, if I'm breaking up with a boyfriend, I'm writing a song. If I'm mad, I'm writing a song. You know, and I mean, and I just go by that. I have a very, just from me studying music, I do, like if you hear my raspy voice, but with my singing, I have a very wide range, very wide range, low to high, and belting is really like one of my specialties. I really like
Oh, nice.
church singing, God, like that's really like, and I put that into my music. Even if I'm singing, you know, a R&B song, you can still hear, you know, like the.
Isn't
the
that so
passion that's in it.
fascinating how many types of music draw back to gospel music? I was
Yes.
listening to a comedy routine from Krish Mohan, who's a comedian that I'm friends with. You're friends with him as well. Michael, and
he's like the main person I tour with.
Yeah, and he
Yeah.
does this comedy routine where he talks about, he did it here for Liz Victory, who's his fiance, her CD release party, and it was about how all of these different styles of music stretch back to gospel. And it
Yes.
blew my mind how many different types of music have that connection to the gospel and like to gospel singing. And I was not aware of that until he had brought that up. It was really kind of a fascinating thing.
I think like good music definitely drives back to gospel because it's heartfelt.
It is.
When you can relate, and it's relatable. So when you can relate to music, and usually the most relatable music is, you know, gospel, inspirational, things like that. So I think that's how it just works out that way.
So what else do you have coming up after the 13th?
So after the 13th, I have, well, the weekend of the 12th is like a real big weekend for me. And then after the 13th, I believe the following week I have a show in Ohio on the 17th. I actually won a showcase. So I'm headlining for their next showcase, which is in Ohio. I believe that's on the 17th.
Awesome.
And then let's see what else. I have something to do on the 26th, but I can't even figure out exactly what it is. I'll have to look at my phone. But like I said, working with my new manager, Brandon, he's definitely...
Yeah, he's great. He's a
He is
good
great.
guy, yeah.
He was definitely, I was the caught of his eye, and I was real hesitant. Like, I don't know if I really want to go there, but he's definitely proven to me, you know, he's for my career. He's anything he can do. Shows,
He's another one that doesn't sleep.
He does not sleep.
Oh, you know him?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
Is that how we got hooked up here?
that is, yeah.
Ah, nice, nice.
So definitely, I have a lot of things coming up in this. With June, I have I'm singing, which I don't know how that's going to work out, but I'm actually singing there's a fresh garden market in Pleasant Hills is opening.
Ah.
They're opening a new location, so they needed live music, so I'll be singing at that in June. So a bunch of things coming up. I'm working on, we're in the studio every Monday working on my EP. I'll have an EP coming out pretty soon. We're pushing towards end of June, middle of July. to release my EP, and it's going to be called After Love.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's pretty much
That's
it.
in June.
That will be end
maybe
of
we'll
June,
get
beginning
you
of
back
July.
in here
Yes.
to talk about that.
Yes. The song that I actually gave you would be one of the songs.
Oh, great! So you'll
on
get to
there.
hear. You'll get a
to
sneak
hear
peek
the
right
sneak peek
here.
of it.
So has anyone heard this before?
A few people, but not. It's not on
in the
anything.
audience.
So
There you
no.
go. So this is a breaking
Yes,
thing
it
right here
is.
on the
It's one of
River's
my.
Edge.
I actually sang it. I sang at the Spirit Hall in DC.
Okay.
Last weekend, and I sang that. And actually, when I got there, I had my music, my audio, and whatever reason it didn't work. So then the band ended up playing it live. So I got to sing it live
Wow.
with the band, which was so exciting. Like I was so, you can see my face. I'm like, what is going on? But just flowing with it. But it worked out. No one even noticed it. It was pretty good.
That's great.
That sounds
It
fantastic.
was so great.
So May 13th. What time again?
May 13th, doors open at 6 p.m. The show starts at 7, so I'll be going on at 7. Tickets, you can get tickets online. They have a Facebook page, Life Jennings, Carnegie Music Hall. It's brought to by Whammo and Dusky Entertainment. Me and Brandon, we also have tickets. So, and you can, if you wanted to hit me up for tickets as well, you can do that also.
Fantastic. Michael, do you have anything coming up?
Yeah, I got 2 shows this week. I got I'm co-headlining on Tuesday at the Brillo Box. Me and Helen Wildy are going to be doing, and then we've got Arvin Clay is going to be hosting that. Obviously featuring Gab Bonesso, as everything at the Brillo Box is,
Yes.
because she's fantastic. And then Friday night is the 3rd installment of Laugh Riot punk comedy over at the Roboto Project, which I produce and host. This week I got John Dick Winters, also Helen Wildy, and Tyler Ray Kendrick, who I've been waiting to put on a show for a long
Nice.
time. This is actually sort of my temporary grand finale, where I'm actually taking an indefinite hiatus
Oh, wow.
from comedy. I got a job working in the woods with kids.
Oh, wow.
I don't actually like bars, is the thing I've decided over the last 3 years of doing comedy. I kind of fucking hate them. And so taking a little life left turn and trying to spend more time in the woods and doing social stuff.
Very cool.
I'll
So this
probably-
is important to check out then.
Yeah. So come out, because it's probably going to be the last opportunity, at least in 2018, to see me do comedy in Pittsburgh.
Wow.
Unless someone asks me to do something.
Yeah.
I've been taking those, but I haven't been like organizing or booking my own stuff other than that.
Wow. I will
cool.
be, tomorrow night, I will be on idiotradio.net as a guest for talking about the Millvale Music Festival. I will also be out at Pittsburgh Today Live on KDKA Thursday morning, and then Friday morning I'll be on the DVE Morning Show. And then, of course, Friday evening I will be hosting opening night at the Pittsburgh Food Park right here in Millvale for the opening of the Millvale Music Festival. And then you'll catch me running around like a madman all day on the 12th, taking pictures and video for that event. Thank you so much for everybody. Thank you so much for coming in, everybody. Do you have anything coming up on your end?
Just the Millvale Music Festival next weekend. I'll be doing the Lawrenceville Art Crawl, and then on May 23rd, I'll be doing a raw artist showcase with like 60 other artists at Extasa in the Strip District. So if anybody wants tickets to that, you guys can hit me up on Skewed Line Designs Facebook and let me know.
Awesome.
That's it.
That is Jesse Farley. We've got Diamond Gorman here to my right. For Zach Fell behind the board, who has learned how to operate a new board in under 15 minutes. And
Nicely done.
Due to some tech issues that we've been dealing with here on the studio. For Michael Cohen, I am Brian Crawford. I will see you all Friday evening, 5 p.m. at the Pittsburgh Food Park. Do not miss it. Lots of great stuff. If you want to catch a lot of the stuff that we've been promoting, go to millvalemusic.org. We also have a VIP bag that we're handing out there as well with all sorts of great stuff, including Millvale Music Festival guitar picks. So lots of great stuff in that bag. You don't want to miss out on that opportunity. It's $40 now, but come Friday at the opening night, it jumps up to $50. So get it now, $10 off. All sorts of great stuff, including free drink tickets for the Saturday event. I'm Brian Crawford for Michael Cohen for Zach Fell. This is River Talk on the River's Edge Radio Network, Pittsburgh's voice for local music. We've got one song that we're going to play here from Diamond, and then, one more thing.
Her Instagram.
We got your Instagram. What's your Instagram?
Oh, my Instagram is Miss Diva Diamond. That's MissDivaDiamond. And you can also follow my music page on Facebook, Diamond Gorman.
There we go. Check all of that out. And of course, you can find me on River Talk PGH, Michael at Mike Cohen Comedy. And you don't have an Instagram, but you got a Facebook.
Yeah,
Here,
I
Jesse.
should probably really get an Instagram.
Yeah, you probably should as an artist. Yeah.
Yeah, I probably should.
All
So they
right.
can see it.
I'm
So-
also on the Instagram at Mike Cohen Comedy.
I'm on. We're on Instagram with the Rivers Edge at Rivers Edge PGH, but it's kind of underutilized, so it's probably not worth following just yet. But soon we'll get it better. So please, Friday night, 5 p.m. And don't forget to check out everybody else's stuff. I'm Brian Crawford. I will see you then at the Pittsburgh Food Park.